Crossed the river with a barge man, trusted his rusty horse, and his eyes are heroes unspoken. Welcome, everyone, to this special conversation. Tonight's guest is one of our favorite musicians, creators, creatives, writing partners, and special humans on this planet. We're so grateful to have Nicholas Petricca is an award-winning, record-breaking singer-songwriter, producer, and frontman of the ecstatic alt-rock band Walk the Moon, best known for their ubiquitous hit Shut Up and Dance. I also love Anasan and so many other songs. For well over a decade, he has moved audiences, including us, around the globe with his band's dynamic performances and his unique, playful stage presence. Behind the scenes, he writes and produces songs for other artists as well, including Kygo, Wyclef Jean, Marion, and Michael Bolton. Also a teacher of Kundalini Yoga, ally for a world impacted by Alzheimer's disease, and a proud queer advocate of 80s hairstyles. Petricca is known for creating unforgettable songs, recordings, and concert experiences.
Truth.
Thank you so much for joining us, Nick. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas.
We love you.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. Love you, Jen.
So we love you, man. We got to meet one fateful weekend in Ojai at a really beautiful gathering, and we had the pleasure of singing at this event, and you came up afterwards. We connected and started this friendship. Since then, we've got to create songs together. You've come in and get an influence in some of our artist releases with Braves, and we've even had a song together with Braves with Walk the Moon. What gets me every time is your creative process. So over the last handful of years, we've always thought of you and recalled the way in which you know how to sprinkle pixie dust, know how to get into this incredible, wild, tinkering style, I love to say, dance with the creative muse. And today, when we're thinking about the creative process, we couldn't be with anyone more fun to be in this conversation with, and we're just ready to learn more from you. So thanks for being with us.
Yeah.
Thank you. You mentioned our meeting in Ojai, and a couple of my brothers are here on the other side of this door in this hotel suite here in Cape Town, South Africa, where I'm sitting right now. And I was explaining to my friend how I met you guys, and anytime I've shared with someone how I know the brothers Corin, I share about that first performance I saw and how within moments I'm weeping. I'm just like, I think I actually got down onto my knees. This is before any substances were taken, mind you, and not that I would ever take any substances,
Right.
ever. But no, this is I'm like 100% sober and just like on my knees weeping as you sing your beautiful songs. I remember being moved by the lyrics. I remember being moved by how the soul in each of your voices and how they harmonized in just like this, like clearly you've been singing with each other for, your lifetime. And just to be, I was so freaking moved by, the 25 or 30 minutes that you played that night. And, this an easy yes to a musical friendship with you. And it's awesome. I'm so grateful that there's also like so much alignment. I feel such such affection for each of you as well, just as human beings. So it's a pleasure.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a magic night. I remember it well. So we want to talk about you and your voice. And I guess a question we love to ask you, how's your relationship been with your voice? When did you first discover your voice? How's it been for you?
A few years ago, I wouldn't really be sure until a few years ago. My mom, for my 33rd birthday, she put all of these old home videos onto, like, she got them digitized. So all these videos from my like babyhood, first like first 3 years of my life that I'd never seen before. And I had just lost my dad a
Mm.
couple years before this, and so to see like young dad in
Mm.
these videos was so exciting. And he was my age now as he in the video. So it's just like
Wow.
this wild, yeah, full circle thing. And there's some videos of us, this, like, road tripping. I remember many road trips
Mm.
as a youngin, and always lots of music playing in the car or at dinner or whatever.
Mm.
And my dad is, and where I'm just watching myself as like this infant, and my dad is singing. He's singing at the top of his lungs in the car, and I'm like, what?
Wow.
And he's like, now I'm this singer, musician, professional musician man, and I'm listening. I'm like he's like really in tune, like that. He's really, and so I apparently, my dad would sing a lot. There's so much music in my house growing up, but
Mm.
uh, it was never. I'm so blessed. It was. My voice was always very encouraged in my home,
Yeah.
um, and it wasn't until really like high school that I really leaned into singing, like being a singer.
Mm.
My artistic voice, like my creative spark, was really lovingly nurtured from a very, very young age. And I was hungry to make and create things. I was constantly doodling or building or writing plays that I made my like like cul-de-sac neighbors, like
Yes.
act in the plays. Or I was kind of an obsessive artist from
Yes.
a young age. Yeah.
I think
Mm.
you say it so well because we either are nurtured, we're either nurtured to follow our own
Right.
creative process. Oh, yes, cheers. We're either nurtured and supported in voice and creative process, or we're not,
Yeah.
And we get to work with a lot of people
Yeah.
that got traumatized there. They got stifled, right? They got told, no, like, be serious, get a real job, do math, do science, leave music as a hobby, leave creativity as a hobby. It sounds like you really had the open support to explore
Safe
that
space. Yeah.
that doodling, that magic, that magic
Mhm.
muse relationship creator, right? Like
Mm.
from an early age. When did you like? What was your experience when you stepped into your voice and started singing? Like, what was there for you? How did it meet you as a friend? What was it like to find that expression inside yourself?
My mom would tell you that I fearlessly sang the lead part in a musical in fifth grade, and I barely. I mean, I remember I was Thomas Edison, the inventor of the, light bulb. But maybe not. There's maybe some more information that his. Anyways, we're not going
Yes.
to get.
Yeah.
But I was like I was dead Thomas Edison in a cloud in a white suit singing for the whole play. And then after that, I just never saw myself as a singer. I never thought I had a good voice. I remember doing musicals again in like junior high and into high school, and feeling like I was just like trying to keep up or trying to pretend I was good enough, you know,
Mm.
um, and just get by. But I never really thought of myself as having like a nice voice.
Mm,
Um, maybe yeah, until I guess until midway through high school, where I guess probably when I started to listen to a lot more music and sing along in the car, or late at night in my room. Or I remember like when I really started to fall in love with albums, with artists like the Goo Goo Dolls or Coldplay, or artists that my parents would introduce me to, like Jimi Hendrix, or old, like the old Santana, the good stuff, or Simon and Garfunkel.
Mm.
And that's where I remember like teaching myself how to harmonize, and how to like match tone and like timbre and like mold and shape and play with the sound of my own voice um,
Mm.
was really an imitation. I think the way my voice sounds now, like who I've become as a singer, I think is very much a triangulation between Chris Martin, Frank Sinatra, and Sting.
Nice.
Yeah,
I,
that's amazing.
I, I think those three are like you can pretty much yeah like link most of the things that I do with my voice to you know being 14 or 15 and imitating one of those three singers.
Mm.
That's amazing.
How did you get into, or who introduced you to Frank Sinatra? Was that on your own, or was the?
Um I think it would have been one of the artists that was playing in my house, that my
Yeah,
parents would like put a CD on while we're having dinner or something.
yeah,
But in high school, I got really into like fedoras and like and
Yeah.
like the jazz band, and like I remember driving myself to school and just blasting "You Make Me Feel So Young," like I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
good,
so good.
Yeah.
Never gets old.
Hmm.
amazing. And so, when you started writing songs,
Damn,
what
not
was
thinking
that?
Bill
Yeah.
Withers and King Cole, those are also
Oh,
huge influences on my singing as well. Oof.
Bill
Okay.
Withers. Yeah. And
Always had Bill.
anyone else? Like, who do you remember your dad singing? Like, who was your dad singing to in those videos? Who was?
I don't remember specifically in those videos, but I remember he would at that time it would have been like a tape. I remember being driven home in his car and with like Billy Joel in the tape player or uh
Mm.
or Journey
Yeah.
or but then sometimes it wasn't always like pop singing. Sometimes it was like some heavy like Joe Satriani like
Nice.
heavy metal guitar
Surfing
or
with the alien. Yeah.
Surfing with the Alien. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
so
Yeah.
right.
good.
I love that.
Love it. And he was just singing along with the guitar line. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, so my father ended up um, having a long battle with Alzheimer's disease,
Mm.
which he got when he was 49. So very,
Oof.
very early onset, and it was that's my big brush with tragedy in my life.
Yeah.
Is my father's disease,
Mm.
and he he would play the air guitar or like beat for beat like hit the drum fills
Mm.
when this is in the deepest darkest days of the disease when he hadn't said a word for weeks or been able to form a complete sentence or communicate what was going on for him. He could still like noodle the guitar solos like with every like
Yeah.
turn. I mean there's something. I mean, there's something that is beyond our current scientific understanding. Like
Mm.
everything's magic until science catches up with it, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
exactly.
And so there is some serious magic happening inside like um the miracle of music.
Yeah.
Um and how we relate to it as human beings and how we relate to it physiologically
Mm.
it and not in addition to emotionally and spiritually there's some magic going on that we don't even understand yet
Mm. Mm.
um
Yeah.
that I got to witness many times um through my father's disease and his journey with that and the
Profound.
little moments of clarity and joy that came through um, a dark time. So,
Mm.
Yeah.
What's your father's name?
Joe,
Joe.
Joe. And did you get
Joseph,
to sing to
Joseph
Joseph
Jude.
Nice.
Patrica?
Mhm.
Joseph
Jude.
Jude. And did you
Fantastic.
get to sing to him? Did you get to play him some of your music?
Yeah, yeah. Um, he uh, he got to see he got to be pretty present for the band initially taking off, and come to shows and stuff like that. But as he got worse, moved into a home, um, there was a famous a famous Joe moment in the family is when I think we were playing Shut Up and Dance on Letterman,
Mm.
and and Dad was in the home, and the Alzheimer's hits someone. It hits different people differently in different ways at different
Yeah.
times. But for him, it really hit his speech center in his brain. That made it really challenging for him to communicate what was going on. So like again, like he's not saying much, most of his communication is body language. But then apparently in the home they put Letterman on, and my dad immediately like saw me, stood up, and started dancing. He was like, "That's my baby. That's my baby."
Ah,
Jeez.
It's
yes,
Wow.
just,
Joe.
you know, eh,
Hmm.
you can't make it up. You can't make it
No, you
up.
No,
can't
you
make it up.
cannot. It's like you wrote it for him. And
Yeah.
so, how, like, I mean, that's an incredible journey of grief and loss. How was music a safe space for you to process that, to journey that? How did
Mhm.
music become a safe space for you through that journey?
Mm.
Yeah. I'm remembering, it's connected to my answer for this question you asked a moment ago. Did I sing for him? And in
Yeah.
the last weeks of his life, there was actually a piano at the home, and we rolled in the piano like into the room, and I got to play for him some of my songs, some of his our favorite songs that we would listen to together.
Hmm.
Um, and so music as service,
Yeah.
mu music as a gift that I could give him, really
Yeah.
that I could give back to him, because his love for music, I mean, certainly my mom's as well, but dad especially, um, his love of music and appreciation of the details and of like of the artists, and his passion for sharing these like amazing secrets. It's like that's how it felt, and that's how it feels for me when I'm sharing music with someone else. It's like, oh, check out
Mm.
this beautiful secret that I found. um
Yeah.
and his yeah so my father's passion is a big part of what drew me into music, and why I'm here now as a
Yeah.
life. That's my livelihood, that's my lifeblood, is music. um
Yeah.
yeah, I lost my place. What was the
Oh, it was
question?
beautiful.
That's gorgeous. Yeah.
I see the visual of you wheeling the piano in. It must have been such a powerful
Yeah.
moment. Well, the question was, how has music been a safe space for you to process, to
Right.
be,
And let's broaden that question,
yeah,
like, how's music been a safe space your whole career and is still today? I mean, I know that you're very much continuously leaning into the artist that you are, and knowing a little bit about the artist that you are. um, you know, the artist process comes in cycles, right? In waves that we get
Mm.
to lean into and ride. How has music been that container for you? Like, look at, song as an ancient container, right? A medicinal container, even. Like, how has it been a safe space where you've been reflected back, where you've been heard, even beyond the fame and the notoriety that you have, just on a simple human level too? Like, how has it been that safe space for you?
Man, these are such good questions. Like, as you're speaking, I'm hearing all sorts of conversations that we could have. Well, in terms of in terms of a safe space for me personally, in hard times, in times of grief, um, music, as like I said before, like music as service, and it wouldn't be until, well, I want to come back to music as service because that's really become
Please.
my worldview. That's become the lens through which I'm seeing pretty much everything.
Beautiful.
Um, and but I want to kind of come back to that, like wrap back around to
Please
that.
do. Please do.
Um, music as a safe space. I'm so grateful to have had music um like right here in arm's reach as a way of processing. I don't think I even really fully was conscious, have been conscious of it my whole life, but to really feel like what I get as like at this point in my evolution as a human um, is is that to really move through and beyond something and grow through something, you must feel
Mm.
it. You can't numb
Yeah.
out. Well, you certainly can, but it's not gonna move you forward in that process. It's not gonna, it's not going to allow me to receive the gift of the pain, the
Mm.
lessons wrapped up
Mm.
uh, in the gift of the pain and the suffering or the sorrow or whatever it might be, the trauma. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not able to receive those gifts if I don't feel like my experience. And allowing myself to feel it fully is my is certainly one gateway to
Huge.
to receiving those gifts and that growth. And so I feel blessed beyond belief. I feel so lucky that like I have this incredible tool. And really, the next conversation is that, well, I think everyone has this tool, but I'm
Mm.
so grateful that I've been like nurtured and I got, training and pursued this pursued music as as a study and as a form of art, artistic expression, but it's very much a therapy. It's very much like
Yeah.
a way of feeling deeply in a productive, creative, magical way. Like
Mm.
it's like it's just like a win-win-win.
It really
Um,
is.
like it's so. There's a song. I'm here in Africa recording and writing my ass off.
Yes.
I'm I'm uh, I'm going really deep creatively here with some dear friends and some new friends and just an amazing community of artists and this beautiful world that um, I've somehow by divine grace been gifted access to this beautiful place. Um,
Amazing.
and there's one particular song that um, just experienced a transformation in the last couple of days that's like so exciting and invigorating. Um, which I won't tell you the name of it yet. There's like I like the
Yeah.
secrecy of not
Good, good,
uh,
good.
I'm gonna let it be a secret. But the song experienced this transformation, and I've been sitting with this song for a couple years, and I
Mm.
wrote it um as it was like a late, like deliriously sleepy late night revelation of a lyric that just like articulated my experience of this other human that I was having this really challenging time with, a human that I was really, really, really close with. And we were in a, we were in a very conflicted moment with one another. And so
Right.
being able to articulate this, it just like helped me, it helped me understand the situation like
Yeah.
just like cognitively, it helped me like understand my own feelings, and it helped me feel and release and let go of the like attachment to the feelings. Like
Mm,
I could
mm.
like I externalize them, so I didn't have to like worry about them anymore, almost,
Yes.
like they're
Yes.
living here now, and I can actually enjoy them. Like I can like
Totally.
press
You have
play
a
and be
distance
like,
to see
yes,
them. Yeah.
you know,
Exactly. It's so true. It's so
yeah,
true.
yeah.
You
So
made gold out of it, the lead. Yeah.
Yeah, it suddenly had a safe container to
alchemy.
be in, right?
Alchemy,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, and what is sort of stuck inside us doesn't have the distance, like Isaac's saying. We can't necessarily have the perspective to then
Yeah.
really begin to metabolize it.
Yeah, it's not who we are, but we have it. It's
Hmm.
ours to have,
Hmm.
to hold, to behold. Yeah, beautiful. So
Hmm.
there's a good beat to it too, is it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm hearing it now. I wish you could hear
Can't
it.
wait. But no, same. That's amazing. And so it sounds like your process, your creative process, often includes others.
Mhm.
And, you know, how does that tell us a bit about, the creative process when you feel most inspired? Like, give us a sense of how does that work when there's a room full of people or a small group of people that you trust? How does the creative process, how do you like it? How do you generally set up the space for creativity to flow?
Mm. Man, you'd think by now I'd have some kind of formula, but it still seems like it's different every time. I guess that's what makes it exciting, is that it's
Yeah.
like it's new every time. But yeah, I mean, I write a lot by myself, and I write a lot with others.
Hmm.
And I think I need both. I'm discovering that I need both to reach my full potential.
Mm.
Um, and sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's a few people that I know and trust really well, or one person maybe. Um, and and I've experienced many writing sessions, great days, and not too productive days, with total strangers. I've written some awesome songs with total strangers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's interesting actually here. Just I don't know how relevant this is to your podcast, but I'm just noticing here, and I'm sure it'll be relevant. I'm just going to keep talking. I'm just going to keep
Yeah,
talking.
please, please.
So, I'm noticing here in Africa, the culture around writing sessions is a little different than in LA or Nashville, New York, where like I think in America there's this like, okay, like we're here to work, let's get down to business. And I mean,
Right.
there's people have their own flavors of that, and some are more personable than others, but like there's definitely a like we're jumping in pretty quickly to just
Hmm.
to make something together. Like we're here to make something, let's make something.
Yeah.
Right.
And in Africa, I've noticed, it's like, well, let's have a coffee. Like, let's listen to some music, or like let's just chit chat for a little while. Like it might be 2-3 hours of like talking, because and it actually makes a lot of sense to me, because making art with someone, like intertwining your artistic soul with somebody else, is actually like super freaking intimate.
Super intimate.
So it makes a hell of a lot of sense to me, the way it's happening down here. So I'm just like, I'm respecting the like the pace and like the fireside chat, and
Mm.
there's like a getting to know one another before the music can really unfold. Um,
Mm.
and I guess this is all to say, there's certainly not a right or wrong way to do things. But I think what really works for me is just listening to what it feels most inspired in the moment. And sometimes that's affected by who's in the room. If like the person I'm here to create with is not ready to put a note down, then let's not do that. Then I'm here to like meet the other divine energies that are in the room. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's the muse, sometimes that's the other human being that's sitting in front of you.
Mm.
And the I think I've known before I've known that like uh my process is very much like a process of like of taking orders. I'm taking orders from whatever is coming in. Like
Yeah.
it's
Mm.
my best work, my favorite songs, my most inspired artworks are barely mine.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautifully put.
One thing that both Tara and I kind of bring you up into the space around when we're creating is in the kind of tail end of the process. We find that the two of us have a lot in common where we really find starting an idea to be easy. We can start 10 a day, right? And then we kind of get into the framing, the downloading and the sculpting. That's easy for us. And then we get into the framing. That's pretty good. We've trained ourselves to be good at that, right? And then the making, we usually bring in someone to help us do that. But then there's this really important part, which we call curating, which is really just icing the cake and just making sure that it's it, right? And we see that you thrive in all of these areas, but there's this that we kind of are in awe of your ability to curate or stay playful in the tinkering at the end, right? And we've witnessed it in the songs that we've done together. And so we kind of want to learn from you around it. If there's anything, any wisdom that you have around that, or even are you even aware of how committed you are to the very moment? How do you walk away from the canvas, and what is that process leading up to that moment for you of curating?
I'm sure my writing partners and band members would say, "Oh, committed." It doesn't quite cover it.
We're being too nice.
You're being very generous, and I appreciate it. I want to just make sure I'm clocking. You had these really great names for different stages of the creating.
We can walk through them if you want. The first stage,
downloading
it reflects what we call, it reflects, we think, our chemical process, which turns, lead into gold, right?
As part of a creative process methodology we've been guiding people on for the last almost decade now, called the creative process design, that we've kind of given it that name. But where it came from, which I think you'll really appreciate, is that Isaac and I finally looked at what was occurring when we wrote thousands of songs with hundreds of people. Like, what were the phases, modes, and particularly archetypes and ways of being that we needed to be in order to flow with the alchemical process. So that's really the core of it. And then we've been sort of teaching it to first-time people.
And, and so to reflect your language, like that downloading part is generally, how are you able to be a partner with the space or with the magic,
Channel.
a channel for, an open channel, a source, an ability to just, put the antenna up and receive, so the downloading is that first inceptive moment, that moment
where anything and everything is
receive
possible,
the gift,
right? Where you're just like, hey, what if, yeah.
Yeah.
The next mode is sculpting, where instead of everything being yes, it's yes and to sculpt, you yes and a moment, right? You take the idea and you give it flourish. It's a very positive, very optimistic leaning approach, and very subjective too. So it's still very excitable, but now you're honing in on one thing and
you want the sculptor in the room, right? Like when you go to a writing session and you've got everyone going, yeah, right? Like that's not sculpting. That's like, yeah, what else? But oh yeah.
I mean, I'm
you
definitely
take
a
one
sculptor.
thing, yeah, you're so good at it.
In a room of people.
You take one thing that you like about or love about what just happened, and you add to it, or you even just love on it, so that you encourage that person, to keep going. So being the sculptor. Yeah. And so if you were writing with someone, you would be nurturing their downloader with your sculpting, your excitable nature, oh yeah, that, oh yeah, do that again, right? And then when there's enough ingredients, right, you start to sous chef, you start to frame it out. You go, oh, that's a verse, that's a chorus.
We need a pre,
we need a bridge.
I think this needs a pre. We start to get a little bit objective into the subjective, right? So it's the bridge point between subject and object. It's where we start to even look at the architecture of the work of art, like what might we still need, right? And then we move into making. Making is where we're like, all right, before we go get dinner, let's write the verses. Like we go, okay, like from now for the next half an hour, writing verses, right? Head down, bum up.
And it includes
Yeah, fourth mode. It's called maker.
Got it. Downloading, and sculpting, framing,
making.
And making is that moment where, like, if you were cooking a meal, for example, you turn the heat on and time is involved, right? So you kind of leave that kind of magical realm a little bit to kind of you press record, and you track things out, you kind of map it out, and you're getting to work.
Also, a maker in a session though is like that personality type that's like, we're finishing a song before this session ends. It's like makers are like, we're going to get something done, which is the magic of making, is part of the magic of the creative process, as we all know, right? And then last but not least, if you have a healthy flow of the alchemical process, is the curator. And the curative process says, is this it? Do we need to take this back up the creative process, back to downloading and sculpting? Do we need to come back to framing? Is there something missing? A healthy curator says, is this it optimistically though, right? They're looking for where it isn't to just work on that place. So from download, sculpt, frame, make to curation. And to Isaac's point, to me, I've actually had the pleasure of witnessing you in the creative process when we're all tapping you. And I've also witnessed you tapping the people in the room too, with Brave. So I feel like I've had a taste of both so far. And there's like a really curious, curative part of you that knows how to let something come through, and then you kind of look to distill, and then if it's not quite it yet, you move back and forth. And there's this like really, I don't know, you brought your father up before about his love and passion of detail. And I feel like maybe there's some nurture there that may have come forward, and I just wanted to point. But yeah, what's your experience there of being curative and wanting to distill the magic into its most magic?
When I'm in a session, especially if I'm like supporting someone else, whether it's their artist project or I'm just supporting someone else's idea in the moment in a session that's more about my work, I'm always like, okay, that's the thing to beat. Like, can we beat that? And maybe we can't. Maybe that's just like that's the idea, but sometimes there's something I'm just like, I'm listening for the like full body fuck yes.
Yeah.
And the like kind of like that, like what's the word? Like ecstatic kind of like euphoria, and so yeah, I'm with you. It's like I'm always approaching it. Always doing my best to approach it in a positive way, either yes and or like putting the thing that's great, like it's it's great here, and like, can we like make it greater, or is it just as great as it's ever going to be? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
there's definitely there's an art to that, and there's like there's just so much listening. It's just like just
Mm.
tuning. You're listening not
Mm.
just to sound, but to energy.
Yes.
And
Hmm.
sometimes it's like, what the song really needs is like a night's sleep. Like, we can try and just beat this into the ground, and but my instincts are telling me tomorrow is gonna know better than tonight.
Which is
Uh,
so mature, so wise in the creative process, right? We see that's the difference between constructive and creative curation, and where it goes into destructive curation, right? Where someone
mm,
brilliant can go round and round and start to dismantle the greatness. And one of our
I've certainly
favorite.
been that person. I've certainly been that person in the past. I'm guilty of I'm I'm only this great now because because I've made a lot of mistakes. And it's it's people's it's precious. It's like sacred. The process is
Mm.
sacred. So it's like I
Mm.
feel sensitive to the energies in the room, the energies of the other people, the human hearts in the room, you
Mm.
know? Like sometimes just treating someone's terrible idea with some some with a little love is gonna get you a great song. It's gonna get you like like an unbelievable idea from that person later, just because we
Totally.
treated this idea as inherently sacred because they all are.
Mm.
Oh,
So
Hmm.
so well said.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's huge. Yeah. Wow.
And well, thank you. And I would say the word that keeps coming to me that I see in you is patience with it, with the process. Where I would see that, compared to us, in that tail end of the process, we much prefer being in the front where anything is possible, right? Whereas when you're at the back end of that, it's like the possibilities have been narrowed and we're distilling, we're crushing diamonds. We're
mm,
looking for pressure. So your ability to hold that pressure when everyone else is going, "Oh, you're crazy," you're still holding on, but you are holding it and going, "You know what? It might actually be worth it. We're only at ruby. We're not here at diamond yet. It's not hot. It's not hard enough."
It's only midnight, fellas.
Yeah. So that patience, and like the genius of where patience meets madness or, obsession, like there's something magic there. So whether you've been criticized for that or not, like it's still a
magic
gift.
too.
And we see it as a gift,
Yeah.
We want you to know that.
Oh my gosh.
that feels real nice, fellas. That feels real nice. Thank you.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
very generous, but I also like I'm learning that as well as I learn more and more, as I become more aware, and as I learn more self-love, I see some of the things that I've been criticized for are also my gifts. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate
And
Yeah.
yeah, to add, it's like, and this goes for each of us, right? Because where we have a natural gift, we can each gift comes with its own burdens, and of course, we're talking about nuance in the creative process, and you're just incredible at inside the creative process in all those moments.
Yeah.
To me, where curation is most cared for is dancing the fine edge between construct and destruct, right? It's like right in that small space is where the greatest idea is made greater potentially, right? And there's no guarantee because for all we know, that first 20 minutes is it, and then you need to sleep on it for 9 days and someone else brings this idea next time.
Yeah.
But if there is a place to patiently and without labor, but just with love, it's before it's destructive, but it's a fine line, right?
Yeah.
Between finding that, and there's been some great artists of all time that have danced the edge between genius and madness, in tinkering or playing in and continuing to try to find something better than what is. And yet and a lot of those great natural curators return with gold that no one else can find, because they dared to dance in the space between what was healthy and curative and destructive, right on the edge. Patience.
Oh.
There are no
Yes.
shortcuts. Yes,
Oh,
of
yes.
course. Did you
Yeah.
just open that page just then?
Oh, this is where I am in the book. This is where I am
Oh,
in the
you
book.
had it.
Nice.
Isaac nailed it.
Yeah, distillation, distillation on the line between distillation and disillusionment. Right?
That's another nice distinction.
Woo! Woo!
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. I think there is my word for it is vigilance.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think of like the guard on like the north wall or whatever, it's like it's not just patience, it's like paying such precise attention. Um yeah, like or I guess yeah, it's like on the lookout in the crow's nest, or it's just or on the guard. I was just in Italy for the first time, and seeing these old, I don't know if you've been to like old country of Italy, but they have
Yeah.
like there's these, 800-year-old guard towers. And I would think about those men who would go, would be miles and miles and miles, like days, weeks, months ride away from their homes, or their families, or who knows how long, months, maybe years sometimes or something, and they're just living out here on this guard tower, just watching, for danger, or for something important,
Yeah.
So that's the archetype for me in this process that I relate to.
Holding vigil is another
Holding
way.
vigil, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The care, there's great care in that too. That's beautiful. And I love how that plays with the other part of your personality, the kind of the playful kind of the playful one, the vigilant part, but also the playful part.
It's true. They are in beautiful union.
Yeah.
Yeah. For someone who's like stepping into their creative process, like they haven't had, maybe they're new to letting themselves actually have positive creative experiences for the first time in their life. I mean, maybe they're coming to it in their 50s, their 60s. What would be like one tip, one hack that you would give them to enter it and discover the most magic? What would be that tip?
I think it's in like I I see two things. One is it's in as best you can, the fearlessly just trying. Just like there's no wrong answer ever, really. It's just like, do I like this or not? Does this move me or not? Do I want, is that what I want this piece to do? Sometimes I have an intention for a piece and I want it to do a certain thing. And like this other thing is really cool and like, wow, it's so dope, but it's not what I want it to do. So that's all to say, like, don't be afraid to just try some weird shit. Like, you just never know. Like the weirdest, stupidest, benign thing that you could do might inspire the most like complex emotion. It's completely unpredictable and unplannable. Like So it's worth trying weird stuff.
Mm.
Yes.
Um, and if you can do that without fear, because I know personally I'm afraid of failing, right? So I'm
Mm.
like,
Mm.
even like by myself with my notebook or with my laptop or whatever, the keyboard, I'm just like, oh, I hope I don't mess this up. You know, like I don't
Yeah.
know what that is, but
Yeah.
and then that's perfectly natural if whoever's listening, if you're feeling that way, totally natural, beautiful, normal thing. You're not alone. But
Mm.
you can fearlessly, or if you can with an air of arrogance almost or reckless abandon, just try some weird shit.
Nice.
It's really worth it.
Yeah.
Um, and
So
then the
well
other
said.
thank you. And
Brilliant.
then the other thing I would say is feel.
Mm.
Is it's ultimately in the feeling. And that goes for the download period of like how deeply can you allow yourself to feel whatever it is you're experiencing right now?
Mm.
Mm.
Even if
Mhm.
that's boredom, even
Mm.
if it's like irritation that you're sat there with a guitar and you feel like some obligation to write this, then write about that. Like how deeply can you
Yeah.
feel into what is true, what is actually really present for you right now?
Mm.
And at the curation phase, it's the most, in my opinion, it's the most important thing to remember.
Mm.
Like, how does this fucking feel?
Mm.
Because it's really easy for me anyway, for someone like me to get super brainiac and super intellectual and
Mm.
cognitive about the curation phase because it can be very effective. It can be very useful to have that type of
Mm.
uh, approach, you know.
Yeah.
But in the end, man, it's like, how does the song feel?
Yeah.
Mm.
Huge.
How does this moment feel? How does that lyric feel, really?
Yeah.
That's
That's
amazing.
beautiful, man. Thank you. That's a
So
beautiful
powerful.
gift. Can I ask
Thank you.
a little bit of a personal question? What,
Yes.
thank you. What emotion would you say you've yet to let yourself feel in a song?
Wow. Wow, that's a powerful question. Um, you know, I don't know the answer, but I can tell you one an almost as good answer, which is a feeling that I maybe haven't let myself fully feel until recently.
Mm.
Um, in this season of writing, which was like giving up.
Mm.
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 Yeah.
I've been like my band, Walk the Moon, has been like just just uh just like recklessly hopeful, for my many years of the band. Like the music is just like holding a light of hope
Mm.
Mm.
through everything. And that is who I am. That, that's
Yeah.
that's who I've that's who I've learned to be, and that's who I've learned that I am. That is my nature. And to also be with the feeling of just of giving up, of
Yeah.
like
Mm.
accepting defeat in some way, really.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow,
Hmm.
that's beautiful.
Woo!
Yeah.
Y'all got me
Yeah.
feeling tonight. Got me feeling. I mean, I'm really in my feelings in this. I'm
Yeah.
on a beautiful pilgrimage right
Yeah,
now
man.
here in
Yeah.
Africa, writing music that feels deeply important to me. It feels like
Mm.
important in my life's journey and the gift. This the lifetime that I'm giving to the universe, like if my lifetime is a gift that I get to give,
That's
like
beautiful.
I'm I feel really connected to that, to the giving, like in this process. I'm feeling those things. I'm like
Mm,
consciously, one of the things that I'm experimenting with, that I'm like really consciously leaning into on this trip, is like letting go of like I've held some of these songs and some of these arrangements and like sounds for like very close to the chest. And for
yeah.
the first time, I'm like letting someone else in, someone else who's better at producing than I am, like letting them in.
Right.
Yeah.
And
That's
and
vulnerable.
and it's fucking scary sometimes.
Mm,
I'm like, no, Nicholas, we are doing this. And that song that I mentioned earlier in the chat that experienced this transformation. That was one of those songs. It was just like, oh, it's precious, but I'm pushing myself to open the door, and
Beautiful.
it's working. So cheers to that.
cheers
Cheers
to
to
that.
that.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
precious.
thank you for this time.
Gosh.
I wish we could just go write a song now.
I
There's so
know.
much.
I know, yeah.
I feel it.
Um,
Soon
Yeah.
enough,
well,
soon enough, my
don't,
Yeah.
friends.
I want. Please. And there's two. Well, firstly, I just want to tip. We probably won't go into this conversation, but I just want to tip my hat to. We haven't had a conversation since we ended up at Skywalker Ranch together for an event, and I got to see you and Walk the Moon play in an intimate way. And if you've not seen Nicholas and Walk the Moon play live, like just go see Walk the Moon next time you can, whenever that is, or Nicholas play, because as a radical expression of voice
and a gift.
as a whole body instrument, in a room of people, being that beacon of hope, being that beacon of play, and just your mastery of just being in a room as a voice, raw and live. Just your ability is just magnificent. You just have to see it. Incredible. Like you are like one of the most masterful living frontmen, dude. Like you're incredible at what you do. So I just wanted to tip my hat at that. Huge. So I can't wait to witness it again. And we got to get up on stage with you and sing in harmony. It was so
That
beautiful.
was fun.
Just to leave us with,
Thank you. I'm just gonna take you with me on every interview, like every interview that from Radio, Rolling Stone. You just come with, and I'll
There
just
you
let
go.
you paint the picture.
We'll
And I'll
just be there.
yeah,
We'll be your brother wings. We'll be right.
yes.
A huge call for us in this last year is our foundation, bringing music song voice as a modality of healing and expression to those particularly going through mental and emotional health issues. Bringing this magical thing that you've gotten to have in your life and be masterful with. You talked about music as service. I just love to just bring it back to that as we complete the episode. Like, how is music your service, and how do you see that showing up in the world next, in this next chapter?
Thank you. Music. I see. I see music as something that inherently has the power to heal. And it is medicine in that way. And um, if I'm if medicine if this music if music is medicine, and that's what I have to serve people, then I better like cook up some good. I better use some good ingredients. I better not like cut any corners. It's like I'm seeing it more and more and more as like this profound responsibility. Um, I think we're learning more and more as well, like scientifically, about the power of sound, and about like
Mm.
how it can affect human beings. Um and you're discovering, and bringing awareness to how music can bring healing to human beings in a variety of ways. So I see, I mean, I see my life as service. I mean, and I don't, and when I say that, I feel a little like itchy, like, oh, like, I don't know, like I'm putting myself on some kind of pedestal, but I feel like that's just like the nature of things. If we choose to receive the gifts, there's just gifts everywhere. There's gifts everywhere. And so, and if I can be an agent of positive change somehow in someone's life in ways that I can't understand, in like ripples beyond my understanding and beyond my like awareness through music, like then I want to create something. I want to create something of substance, that reminds people of their nature, that reminds people of their divine nature, that reminds people their power, their inherent power, their inherent sovereignty.
Yes.
Like whoever is listening, you are sovereign. You have so much. You and I both. Neither of us have ever experienced the outer limits of our greatness or our power. We are so much more powerful than we are aware of. And so if I can, even if it's just like something that feels good and someone's like, just wants to move their booty, just like booty bouncing music. But like if I can like, but if they listen deeper and there's like, oh wait, there's a message, like, oh wait, that's reminding me of this or that. I don't know. Just like if I can create something from the ground up that's gonna empower someone or people. That's what I want to do.
You're doing it. You're doing it.
Yes. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
that's what I see you all doing in a very intimate and direct way. It's so beautiful. And like I see you reminding people of that creative power, the power to create, and in the microcosm of creating a song, like creating the life that they want, creating the mindset or the life path that they desire, or dream of, just a life, an access point to a more happy life, more
Yes.
more joyful, peaceful existence and partnership with other people. Like I see you both doing that, and that's fucking inspiring.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother. And you,
Yeah.
as an artist, an artist is a healer, right? And you're such an incredible example of that. I think throughout the test of humanity, over the last few generations, we've seen these incredible artists, of which you are one of, that are healers in their own right and in everything that they are a stand for, just as the instrument itself.
Yeah.
And we could call out some incredible ones throughout history, some of which you were influenced by, which were doing the work of a shaman just through the lens of music and taking a stand and fronting, song that represented what humanity needed to hear. There's too many examples of it. And we'll all continue to do that. And I can't wait for your next songs.
Thanks, man. As you say that, I'm reminded that like it can have all this beautiful intention and like, spiritual approach behind it, but ultimately like it can be a very simple song. The song doesn't have to be like, the lyrics don't have to be all like,
No.
and you are a spark of God's creation and you can manifest. Like it can be a very simple, unassuming, innocent or dirty song. Like it could be like it could,
Sure.
as long as it's, I think for me it's like as long as it's real, like
Yes. And honesty, right? I feel like honesty is healing for the person singing it, right? If they're being real, if they're being true, if they're being honest, it could be, I'm too sexy for my shirt. He meant it, right? And
or like pony.
Right? He probably meant it. He was so
Yeah.
committed to that line, right? So, it's just, we recently wrote this song that feels like it took 30 years to write because it took us 30 years to be willing, to be courageous enough to be really honest and say something that was true that we probably didn't want to say,
Or
admit to the vulnerability of, and not that every song has to be like that, obviously, but there's something about the honesty that I see as a ripple has an effect on the room when we sing it that I've never seen before, in a way, because each time we sing it, it's like, oh, I have to admit this again,
Yeah.
And so anyway, I agree with both of you that artists are healers, and I want to see a world, I want to create a world in which that is perhaps acknowledged. The role of the artist is more acknowledged, esteemed, valued.
Yeah.
And the artist in
not just a good time.
everyone, not just in the few, but there's
Although a good time is damn important.
A good time, I said.
not just.
Both and all of the above, and
The permission that you gave in that song, Shut Up and Dance, that's healing, right? Just stop all the noise and just get in your body, right? Behind that lyric is something profound.
And you watch it have its effect on people still. In fact, the last time I heard that song was in a living room this summer with all of my favorite women all holding hands, dancing in and out of the circle, and I took a video of it. And they went, "Don't film me." I was like, I'm sending it to the front man that wrote it. Of course, I didn't send it to you, but I threatened it. It's my daughter's and my favorite best friends. But it does, and the songs that you'll continue to write, will weave that magic.
Anything you want to share about what's next for you, or are we in the mystery?
We're in the mystery right now. It's not a mystery that the band has taken a hiatus. And there's no plan to come back. I imagine one day Walk the Moon will come back, and I'm going on a deep music journey, inward and outward across the world right now. So there's more to come, and what that is, I leave to the wind.
Well, we're right there in the mystery.
The medicine.
We can't wait. And,
thank you for spending this time with us. It's been really precious. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. What a pleasure.
Thank you.
Until next time, brother.
Yeah.